So today is the 25th day of Adar, and it's a very special day. There's an argument in the Talmud about when Hashem made the world. One opinion is that Hashem made the world on the 25th day of Elul. Another opinion is that Hashem made the world on the 25th day of Adar. Argument, the Gemara says, between Rabbi Lezer and Rabbi Yeshua. And Tosfos explains, and Chassidus talks about the two parts of creation. There's creation itself, and there's a purpose of creation. So creation itself happens on the 25th day of Elul, but the purpose of creation is Hashem plan, so to speak. The big dream of creation was on the 25th day of Adar. So that means there's something about today which is associated with the purpose of creation. There's something about the month of Tishrei, beginning with the first day of creation, 25th day of Elul, which is associated with creation itself. So what's the purpose of creation? The purpose of creation, we know, is that Hashem wants to have a home in this physical world. A home means a place where you're fully comfortable, you're fully manifest, you're fully yourself. It means Hashem wants there to be an expression of His truth and His light in this physical world. On the other hand, where does Hashem want there to be this expression? In the lowest world, in a place of absolute physicality, in a place of nature, in a place of concealment, in a place of limitation. In that place, there should be a revelation of the infinite light of Hashem. So that's why there are two different parts: the creation, the plan for creation, the goal of creation, is associated with today, associated with the upcoming month of Nisan, time of miracles. But creation itself is about the month of Tishrei, the month of nature, the month which Hashem made the world. That's the context in which Hashem wants His big dream, so to speak, to be implemented. So this is a day we're supposed to make an accounting about what we're thinking about and what our thoughts are, where we're. There's time you work in the business, time you work on the business. And today is the day to work on the business, to align ourselves with a plan for Hashem and creation. So I wanted to actually talk about today. I want to begin a series today about what is Torah. Good morning, Dr. Chaim Peretz.
Good morning.
Because Torah is the blueprint for creation. So let's talk about what Torah is. So there's an interesting statement in the Talmud that there was this Greek emperor named Ptolemy, and Ptolemy he wanted to know what the Torah was about. So he summoned 70 sages, and he told them to translate the Torah for him into Greek. But he wanted to make sure that they didn't give him the Goy version. He didn't want to get the dumbed down version they're going to give to him. He wanted to make sure that this was the reality, the real meaning of the Torah. So he put all the rabbis in different rooms, and he told them all, the 70 rabbis, to translate the Torah for him. And the rabbis indeed did change the Torah a little bit for him, because they thought some of it he wouldn't understand. But miraculously, all of the rabbis had divine inspiration to make the same alterations to the Torah in a way that he could understand it. One of the alterations that they made was in the very first verse of the Torah. The Torah begins, Bereshis bara Elokim. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Their version read, Elokim bara. Instead of starting with in the beginning Hashem created, they didn't want to say those words because he may interpret those words and think that there's some God called Bereshis, and that God called Bereshis created the God Elokim. So in order that he shouldn't make a mistake and think that there's more than one God, they changed the words around, and instead of it saying Bereshis bara Elokim, in the beginning God created, it said instead Hashem was the first word of the Torah, in the way they made it. Hashem created the world. It didn't start with the words. In the beginning, it started with the words Hashem. So it's a fascinating thing because according to the way they translated the Torah for him, the Torah begins with an aleph. According to the way that we have the Torah begins with a base. And we know there's a very great significance to Torah beginning with a base. The Talmud discusses a story about all of the letters of the Torah vying to be the first letter in the Torah. and why Hashem chose letter Beis, because letter Beis is the beginning of the word blessing, and why the letter Aleph wanted to be the first letter, and why each letter had a reason why they thought they deserved to be the first letter of the Torah. So there are many reasons why a Beis was chosen, not an Aleph. Aleph is the beginning of the word Orah, which means cursed. So their Torah though does begin with an Aleph, and our Torah, the real Torah, begins with a Beis. So what's the inner significance of this? What's the meaning of the letter Beis? Yes, there are references to the Beis beginning various words, but what is Beis itself? And what is Aleph itself? And why is our Torah Beis? And why is the translation for Talmai, the Gentile Torah, if you will, why does it have an Aleph? Why does that begin with an Aleph? L'chaim. So there is a verse describing the Torah. The Torah is called a parable of the primordial one. What does that mean? Rashi says the Torah is a parable. Rashi Mishpatim in the Sheftim Kashin Liyadei Samti Lach. Rashi says that it's a Mishal Kameni means it's a parable for the one who is Kameni Shalem, for the one who preceded the world, the one who was before the world. The Torah is a parable for the one who preceded the world. What does that mean? So Chassidus talks about two meanings of this. Parable for the one who preceded the world. One meaning is this. There is, let's say, for example, the law in the Torah of when Ruvain and Shimon make an exchange and they barter a cow for a donkey, and the halacha is associated with what happens in that exchange. And a baby is born, all kinds of details the Talmud discusses when they make this exchange. So there is the discussion in this world, then there's a discussion in higher worlds. There's a discussion also as it is in this world as it pertains to our service of Hashem. So there is, for example, in our service of Hashem, there is some people have an animal soul like a donkey. Some people have an animal. It says in the Talmud that a donkey, even during the month of Tammuz, a very hot month, it's still cold-blooded. There's one way of serving Hashem. One challenge of your animal soul is very frigid, very insensitive, like a donkey. Other animal souls, like an ox, and oxes are goring animals. So there's different ways of elevating your animal soul, whether you're more donkey-ish or whether you're more oxish. What if instead of trying to upgrade your animal soul, which is like a donkey, you use the treatment of a ox? What if you use the wrong treatment? So that's what the Talmud means in a service of Hashem. What happens if you switch and you don't try to elevate your animal soul the right way, you use a different method? What happens then? You machav para b'chamer. That's one meaning of this passage of the Talmud. Then there is another meaning of this passage, how it applies to higher worlds. So there's the translation of the Torah as it is in this world. And there is how it's translated in our service of Hashem, how it's translated in higher worlds. This is how the Alter Rebbe explains. The Gemara says a story about Rabbi Bar Nachmani, and the Gemara says that Rabbi Bar Nachmani was addressing an argument in the heavenly court. The heavenly court had a question about a certain kind of impurity, where you have a white spot and you have a white hair on the white spot, and the difference is whether the white spot preceded the white hair or the white hair preceded the white spot, and how do we look at it, and when is it impure, when is it impure? And Rabbi Bar Nachmani has his opinion, the heavenly court has their opinion, and he passes away. The whole story in the Talmud. So Alter Rebbe asks the question: in order to get into heaven, you have to go first into this river. The Zohar says called the river of Dinar. Why have to go in the river of Dinar? To forget what you saw in this world. You can't think about anything physical in the higher worlds. So, as the Alter Rebbe, how is it possible that they're having this whole discussion in the higher world about this white spot and this white hair when there's no physical things in the higher worlds? So that's what the Torah means when it describes itself as Mishal Kanmeni, a parable for Hashem, that there is the way the Torah is studied in this world, and then there is how the Torah is studied in higher worlds. This is not the only place where Torah is studied. The Torah has its meaning in this world, and it has its meaning in the higher world. So, in other words, you might think it seems like there's three different things. There's three different Torahs. There's a Torah in the higher world. There's a Torah as it applies to my spiritual service of Hashem. And there's a Torah about the physical interpretation of Torah as is in the simple meaning. It sounds like there's three Torahs. But the Alter Rebbe is saying, no, there aren't three Torahs. It's a mistake. Chas v'shalom think there are three Torahs. Let's say, for example, there are other things in our lives that are easier to relate to, that we see that could be a possible example for this. Let's talk about sweetness. There are different kinds of sweetness. There's a sweetness of an apple. There's sweetness of an idea. There's sweetness of kindness, a good character trait. So all these things are described as sweet. And are they all really sweet, or are they completely different things? So the truth is that they are all sweet, except that sweetness as it is in an apple is one thing. Sweetness as it is in idea is another thing. Sweetness as it is in character traits, as it is in kindness, is a different kind of thing. But it's all the same sweetness. It's just how that sweetness is expressed in the various realms. The realm of the physical taste, in the realm of a sweet song. It could be a sweet song. It could be a sweet idea. They all have. It's the same sweetness. The essence is the same. It's a sweetness, but they are all, and they're all interrelated. They all come from each other. In other words, I always like to use the word spiritual cosmos in discussing the various worlds, but the right word is hishtalshelus. Hishtalshelus means the chain. There's a chain in creation, how each link in the chain is connected to a link that's higher than it. So the physical reality is a link to the spiritual reality where it comes from. And when we talk about the various interpretations of Torah, it's not that they're three different Torahs. Torah as our service of Hashem, Torah as it is in the higher world, a simple translation of the Torah. It's the same Torah. It's just the way Torah is studied in this realm. It's the same Torah, just how Torah applies in this realm. Let's say, for example, light and darkness. Light and darkness are in Torah compared to intellect. It says in the Torah, a foolish man walks in the darkness. So we're using light and darkness as a parable for wisdom and foolishness. So wisdom means things are clear. Just like when the light is shining on something, you see exactly what it is. So too, when you have wisdom, you know what something else is. It defines it. Your wisdom tells you the truth about something. And foolishness, on the other hand, is you're just like when there is darkness, you don't see what's going on. So, is it is it something other than wisdom? Is light and darkness really something different than wisdom? It's not something different. It's the way wisdom is. It's the way light and darkness are in a different realm. Light in the realm of intellect is wisdom. In the realm of the physical reality, it's a physical light. It's the sunlight. It's electric light. It's something which helps you see what things are. So it's not something other than the analogy. It is actually. Let's say it this way, Chaim. People think when they read Torah books about Hasidic interpretations of various concepts in Torah, some people think like this isn't the real Torah. This is just the way some people explain the Torah. This isn't the real Torah. The real Torah is the way it says in the Talmud, in Kov Jewish law, the way Rashi says it. But the way it's interpreted, this is just a remez, it's just a hint, it's not the real meaning. The real meaning is with a simple meaning. Well, what is the real meaning? Is the real meaning the simple meaning? Or is the real meaning the deeper meaning? What did we say before? Everything is a shtalshelus. There's a chain. So then the chain starts with the higher worlds. That's where things start. It descends to the physical world. If there's a Torah book which has been accepted by the Jewish people, and Jewish people are studying this book, that means it's written with divine inspiration. It's not just a book. It's a book of Torah. So when it talks about a spiritual meaning in the analogy before, if someone's switching a donkey with a bull, it's not just a translation of it, an interpretation, an illusion for it. Rather, let's talk about light and darkness. It's a reality. It's where things come from. Is the truth about light and darkness. In the beginning of the Torah, it talks about Bereshit, Hashem said, let there be light. And Unclus translates, let there be light. Nizil says, light means wisdom. Wisdom is light. Is that an allusion to what light is about? No, that's the reality of what light is about. Light really is about clarity. Light is about clarity. There's also a physical translation. There's also a physical application of what wisdom is. Wisdom also could be a physical light. In the physical world, wisdom is light. But it's not the reality. On the contrary, the real meaning of wisdom is to be able to classify something. Is it what is it? So when you know what something is, that's the real meaning of wisdom. That's a real light. The physical application of light and darkness, that's not the real light. You could see something and not know what it is. The real meaning of light and darkness is clarity, or versus not clarity. There happens to be a physical manifestation of light and darkness, of clarity and confusion. But the real meaning of light and darkness is clarity and confusion. It just has an application in the physical world of light and darkness. So similarly, the Torah has, the Rizal says it this way. It says we say every time we eat, after we have a meal, we say, we thank you, Hashem, al teirascha shlimaton, for your Torah that you taught us. The Rizal says there is a Torah as it is your Torah, as it is in the world of godliness, in the world of Atzilus. That's your Torah. Then there is a way that Torah also is, you brought the Torah and you contracted it in a way that we could connect to it, and we could also appreciate it in our minds, that you've contracted it, the way that we could relate to it. There is the Torah as it is in the higher world. That's that's the source of Torah. And there's a way that Torah is brought down to us in a way that we can connect to it as well, which is also true. But it's not the origin of Torah. Let me say it this way. It says about King Solomon would say, he said 3,000 parables. So Alter Rebbe explained, what does King Solomon said? Shlomo Melech said 3,000 parables. He said this. It wasn't that he said 3,000 different parables. He said 3,000 parables for the same thing. And he always said 3,000 parables. Why? Shlomo Melech, his wisdom was very advanced. Every world has 1,000 levels in it. There's this world has 1,000 levels, and this corresponding spiritual world of Asiya. Then there is the world of Yetzirah, it's also 1,000 levels, and there's the world of Bria, has also 1,000 levels. Of course, there are many ways of defining levels. So in one way of defining the levels of the world, there's 1,000. So Shlomo HaMelech, his wisdom was in Chachma Datah Atzilus. His wisdom was in the lowest part of Atzilus, and Malchus of Atzilus. So in order for him to explain something from the world that he was in, and bring it down to our world, he had to give a parable. But giving one parable wasn't enough, because one parable just brings it down to the world beneath it, the world of Bria. He wants to bring down to us, he has to use 3,000 parables to bring it down through the 3,000 levels from the world of Atzilus to this world. It has to be another parable, in order to bring it down to us. So this parable is not the origin of the thought. The origin of the thought, how we're getting King Solomon's Torah, is a way it's been masked again and again and again with 3,000 parables. So this is the meaning of what the Rizal says. Your Torah that you taught us, there is the Torah as it is in Atzilus, and how you brought it down to us is through 3,000 parables, and lower till we can relate to it. So let's go back now to Ptolemy. Ptolemy asks for the Torah to be translated, and they translate the Torah in a way that the beginning of the Torah starts with an aleph, and our Torah starts with a base. Why does our Torah start with a base? Our Torah starts with a base because we have to realize that whatever we understand in Torah is only the way Torah has been translated to us, interpreted to us in a way that we can relate to it. It's not the origin of Torah. It's a way Torah has been taken from Atzilus in the highest world and been contracted to us. And by the way, therefore, the Hasidic interpretation, the Torah applies to the higher worlds, that's closer to where it came from. Of course, Hashem put His essence in the Torah, and therefore it's all made of the same stuff. When a child says "Kamatz Alafah," it's connecting the essence of Hashem. It doesn't matter we understand or not understand it. The Torah is Hashem's essence. He gave us Himself. But as far as our understanding of Torah, our understanding of Torah is the way the Torah has been contracted again and again until we can relate to it. So that's the way the Jewish Torah is. The way Torah is for the Jewish people, it's Mishal Kanmeni, it's a parable for Hashem. It's a parable for the way it is in the spiritual world. It's a parable for the way Torah is in godliness, the way Torah is in Atzilus, the way Torah is in Hashem's wisdom. But for a non-Jew, all he gets in Torah is what he gets. He doesn't connect to the spiritual meaning of Torah. He doesn't connect to the godliness in Torah. That's a special gift that Hashem gave to us, that we're able to connect to the essence of Hashem and the godliness in Torah. So therefore, our Torah is a base. Our Torah is number two. It's not the essence of Torah. It's the way we understand something of what was the world of Atzilus. The way the Torah has been condensed and contracted, we could relate to it. But for the non-Jew, his Torah is Aleph. His Torah is Aleph. There's only one. It's only exactly what I understand. That's what he gets. And that's when they translate the Torah to Ptolemy, they translated it in a way that the Torah begins with an Aleph, because all they're giving him is what he can get. He can't get more than what they're giving him. So just connecting this to today, the 25th day of Adar, and the day that Hashem planned creation, makes us realize, when we're learning Torah, doing mitzvahs, we think like, the spiritual light that is accompanied through every mitzvah that we're doing, that's like something we learn about in holy Sfar, holy books, but that's not the real thing of Torah. The real thing of Torah is a physical mitzvah that we're doing. No, the reality of Torah is a godly energy of Hashem. And we're bringing this godly energy of Hashem to the world, to the physical world, through the mitzvahs that we do. But it's not the physical action that is what the Torah is about. The Torah isn't about the donkey and the bull. The Torah also is a donkey and the bull, but it's not the origin of the subject. And therefore, we think about the purpose of Hashem's creation. Hashem wants the light of Hashem, the infinite light of Hashem, to fill the physical world. Hashem created the world because He wants the coming of Mashiach. He wants the resurrection of the dead. That's what it's all about. And therefore, we have to approach our mitzvahs and our Torah. And at today's day, we have to work on our thoughts and think of: are we in line with the business? Are we in line with Hashem's grand plan for creation? To ask ourselves: are we thinking about the purpose of creation? Is that something which is on our mind? Is that a part of our own mission statement of why we're here? L'chaim. And any questions or comments? All right. Chazak u'baruch.